Ahoy! There I am. Wasn't that a good intro? That's the best version of that song I've found on YouTube. You can have that for now, because I didn't make it. How's everyone doing? Marvellous day to be alive, isn't it? When you're in your house watching the television and not walking the streets, that's pretty terrible, that. You go walking the streets, probably get shivved by a Marley. So, yeah, pretty good in here, innit? Pretty good. Let's stay in here with Uncle Bootneck, where it's safe. David Livesey, the Codhead's in. Now then, how's it going? Codhead Dave. Oh no, he's moved, hasn't he? I think he's moved a bit. Who else is in? Let's get to the important people. Grasshopper's in now then. Richie Wesley said I was going to be... No, John Hunter said I was going to be 4 minutes late. I was early for a change. I've even combed my hair. What's left of it? Grasshopper, all right, mate. How you doing? Rags, thanks for moderating as usual. Joe, now then. Angry CFC, the best Cockney. The only Chelsea fan I've got any time for. Who else is in? Blah, blah, blah. Ams, how you doing? Joe, give me a fiver. Thanks very much. That was quick. Must have liked the intro, did you? Anyway, yeah, loads of good stuff to talk about. And Resistant Geordie's in now then. Right, loads of good stuff to talk about today. First things first, I'm going to talk about J.K. Rowling. Then I'm going to discuss the Munich thing. Can I make the screen a bit bigger? Yeah, because look at this. I'll go on a tangent straight off the bat, right? BBC News today. There's the homepage. Okay, what have we got? Israeli strike kills 9. More crying about that. Tensions rise as superpower scrap. EU calls for respect. Suck my stump, Guy or Ursula, whoever's whinging about it. Marcos Sevcevic, another unelected shithead. Someone whinging about the daughter going missing abroad. The King's big moment in Canada. Hectic 2 weeks. Nothing at all about the big story of the day, which tells me something, because if you look at the big story of the day from the last 24 hours, might have passed you by, but there was a major incident in Munich and no one wants to talk about it. Here it is. Hamburg stabbing, 18 injured and suspect arrested at railway station. Right. But the fact that they're all telling you that they're mentally ill, but it's not on the BBC, tells me that it's probably quite likely that the subject is mentally ill, and that is they're mentally ill because they are devout regulars at Alan's legendary snack bar. So that is what's going on there. If the suspect was genuinely mentally ill, you know, as in round the twist, not thick enough to pray 5 times a day, not drink, not eat bacon, and have more than one mother-in-law, because, I mean, that is definitely a mental illness. If you voluntarily choose to ignore astrophysics, eschew the wonders of modern science, and refuse to drink beer and eat bacon sandwiches, and voluntarily have more than one mother-in-law, and typically a practicing nonce as well, then you are mentally ill. So to me, there's round the twist mentally ill, and there's fundy regular Alan's mentally ill. So that is that's my hypothesis, and I'm sticking by it. Because why is it not getting covered by the likes of the BBC? Why aren't they talking about it? Why did I have to Google Hamburg stabbing incident and then look for it, and I got it on the Times? Why is the BBC not even talking about it? Well, I'll tell you why. Because probably an adherent of everybody's favourite Bronze Age desert fable practised by a pot-bellied, puke-skinned desert dwarf, epileptic plagiarist, shit for brains, pedo. So that's probably why. But what do I know? What do I know? Let's have a look. Oh, actually, so in this case, she is indeed a she. Didn't look like a patron. Who's to know, though? Who's to know? Everyone was right. Loads of pedants were having a whinge at me in my last video, because they said the AK-47 bloke is definitely not a regular at Allen's. Okay, so to those people, I've been playing. You can see I'm getting better with digital technology. It's only took me 4 years. For those people, I'm going to play this clip that I've managed to splice into the BBC Spews. I thought I could use this technology for a wonderful thing, which is to add this short educational clip to my what would you call it? The back end of my editing software, so I can play it whenever I want and enrich the world with the magic of learning. All right. So to those people, I'll just say this:
Ha! Gay!
Good, that, innit? I'm getting good at this StreamYard shit. I like that. So, but seriously, right? First of all, it's a comedy channel, so I don't have to do. I mean, I know that sounds like a cop-out, but at no point has it ever been a serious endeavour. Have I ever made a serious video? Probably not, right? So, first of all, I don't have to do everything as stringently as a BBC twat in a suit, or even someone like Maya Artusi, who actually seems to take this stuff seriously. I don't. So I'd be lying if I said a lot of the background suggested that he wasn't a regular at Alan's legendary snack bar. But the point is, I don't want a random foreign man running one of the biggest cities in England. I don't care whether he claims to be a practitioner or not. And also, ultimately, at the end of the day, that isn't an argument that bears any fruit, because everyone denies being one. Everyone denies. Do you remember when one of them went mental and started stabbing everyone in the middle of London and shouting, oh yeah, you know, Alan's snack bar, yeah, how good's Alan's snack bar? He was shouting at the top of his lungs, yeah, Alan's snack bar. And then one of the geezers went, you ain't now, Uslim, bruv. You ain't now. And they're all like, oh yeah, he definitely isn't. He definitely isn't. Do you want to have an argument with me? I'll debate any left-wing sparrow-brained wokeist till the cows come home about it, that argument. Because it is totally irrational to try and tell me that people like ISIS, right? People who read and can recite vast swathes of their dog shit holy book from back to front, right? Because this is the world we're living in, right? This is this crazy thing. And I've had this argument with loads of people, and nobody's ever managed to sway me or give me a good logical argument. We can't live in a world where the decision about whether or not you're religious is purely down to you. Because whenever I argue with people, they say, oh, the only person who determines whether or not they're religious is you. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, because this shit's written down. There's rules. There's rules. It's like saying, oh, well, I'm playing chess because I've decided I can just move them all like a queen. Oh, this little pawn, I'll just move it like a queen. Well, I decide the rules. There's rules to religions. We're living in this crazy time where a bloke who doesn't drink, doesn't eat pork, has a big beard, doesn't like Michael Faraday, because they're all total savages, right? Goes to the big Golden Bell End Church every Friday without fail, reads the Holy Book every single day, okay, and espouses with gusto many of the points made in it. But when they do something violent, they go, he is definitely not a regular at Alan's snack bar. Oh, he isn't, no. Even though he prays 5 times a day, always goes to the Bell End Church, always has a big beard, always reads the Holy Book, never drinks, doesn't eat pork, called all 7 of his kids Mighty Mo. He definitely isn't. And they go, no, definitely not. And I go, okay then, who is one? Who is a practitioner? And they go, oh, my mate Ahmed, whose parents emigrated from Pakistan. He's definitely one. Is he? Why, what does he do? Well, you know, he doesn't go to the Bell End Church, and he doesn't pray, and he doesn't have a beard. He's clean shaven, you know, because he likes to look nice at work. And yeah, he definitely doesn't do any of that stuff. And he does like a drink every now and then, you know, Ahmed. He's a good regular at Alan's snack bar. Like, I don't say the M word, but you know what I'm saying. Like, this is the crazy world we're living in. Absolutely mental. Absolutely mental. There's nothing rational or logical about it. The ones who do all the killing are not only regulars at Alan's legendary snack bar, but they're the only true regulars at Alan's legendary snack bar. The ones who the girls at work say, oh yeah, well, you know, my mate Ahmed's at M and he's super nice. Oh yeah, he's all into LGBT rights. And he's a feminist. Oh, and he likes to drink, you know. He isn't one. He isn't one. Being the spawn of parents from Pakistan doesn't mean... In fact, think of this. I'm the actual liberal on this position because much to the chagrin of many of the people of my subscribers, I'm not quite as right-wing as the like of Rags and Jack and certainly Sadwings. I still won't broad brush deport absolutely everyone who looks like they've got a bit of a tan, right? Because I grew up with kids who turned out all right because they went to school surrounded by... I mean, it'll never happen now because there's too many. But in the 80s, they would go to school and every single person in the class looked and talked like me. So they did integrate. But if you think about it, my position's the liberal one. Because I'm the only one saying, well, hang on, you can't judge people just by what the parents are. But they're saying, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. When it suits me, if Ahmed's mum and dad came over from Pakistan, no matter how he lives, he is definitely a regular at Alan's. Definitely. And the ones with the big beards who, you know, pray 5 times a day and don't drink and have like 6 wives, they aren't. No, they aren't. They aren't. So what part of that is rational to you? The world's gone mad when we're living in a time where the guys who are super devout and read the book every day, the really devout ones can almost recite the entire thing. I've watched videos on YouTube of these balmy bastards. Like, Christ, it makes me think of Pascal's wager. You know when Richard Dawkins was debating some Baptist and he said, why don't you just believe anyway because you've lost nothing? It was a great response. He said, why don't you just believe anyway because you've lost nothing? If you just... Pascal's wager is, you know, you should believe in God because if you're right, you get to go to heaven. But if you're wrong, you go and burn in hell forever. So you should always believe in it because if you don't, it doesn't cost you anything. And Richard Dawkins logically responded, it does cost me something. And he said, what? And he said, every Sunday morning for my entire life. And that's the position I've always had. Like, I'm not practicing. I've definitely gone from militant chippy atheist in my 20s to sort of agnostic with a soft spot for the Church of England and my youth and carol services and hymn practice every Friday and Noah's Ark cartoons and all the shit we had when I was a little kid, just because, like, life was better. So I still can't bring myself to say I'm a Christian, but I'm definitely an agnostic with a soft spot for it all because I want my childhood back. I want your children and your grandkids to have as idyllic a childhood as I did. And the way I see it, it's probably an increasingly common way of thinking nowadays, isn't it? Where you're sort of not really a believer, but you're sort of culturally Christian. Because my childhood was idyllic, and I used to love it. And every Friday, Mrs. Dring had played the piano, and we all used to sing for an hour and do hymns. And I still remember them all fondly, and I can, you know, whilst drunk, sing several of them at Christmas, which is amusing to my missus and her family, because they're a lot more culturally Christian. A lot of them are practicing Catholics. And I can sing all the hymns, and it's because I had a good childhood, and I loved it. And I really feel for people that will no longer have any of that good stuff. But yeah, that's a good answer. And that's my point. Like, how can you claim that these people are practicing the religion of peace when they don't do anything? It's completely upside down. So essentially, they want to have it both ways. When it suits them, they say, oh yeah, they all integrate wonderfully. Oh yeah, of course they do. When one goes mental with a meat cleaver and chops everyone up on the London Underground, they go, oh no, he's definitely not a regular Alan snack bar, even though he was shouting about it for 20 minutes and screaming at the top of his lungs when the coppers were arresting him. But you know who definitely is? My gay, binge-drinking son of Pakistanis. He definitely is. And you're like, okay, well, you're not a liberal then, are you? You're saying the children are always the exact same as the parents and there's no choice in the matter. Mental, innit? Mental. So, love that. Crazy time to be alive. The world's gone fucking tonto. Hamburg stabbing, 18 injured. Let's have a quick read and see what bollocks the mainstream media is going to throw us. Police say there is concrete evidence that the female suspect is mentally ill and rule out any political motivation. Of course they do. 18 were injured, including 4 critically in a knife attack at Hamburg. Victims aged 19 to 85 were waiting on a train. 39-year-old woman went mental, stabbed the shit out of them all. Police said there's very concrete evidence of a mental illness on the part of the suspect, and that's why the BBC is definitely not talking about it. Definitely not. Yeah. I'll tell you what this reminds me of. Emily Jones. Remember Emily Jones? Surely, shall we get the picture up? Because I think people should get angry again. No, not the sports commentator, you wankers. Let's find it. Yeah, I haven't had a rage boner for 20 minutes, so we may as well I just want to remind people who it is. Let's have a look. There we are. This little girl, this little cute as a button child with pigtails, was murdered at a throat cut by an Albanian. So, as usual, the BBC were like, oh, a woman from Bolton killed her. A woman from Bolton. No. At a council house in Bolton, but it was an Albo, as usual. So get angry about it. They lie to you. They lie to your face every day. It was an Albo who killed that little girl. She'd still be alive if we didn't import hundreds of thousands of Albos. And they are the most criminal group in the UK by a country mile. It's not even close. Not even close. So, as I keep saying, yes, Mr. Rotten Politics, as usual, has the right of it. Never, ever, ever forgive them. This is why, when the maniacs on the far left cause the maniacs on the far right, this is right, when they take over, this is why people get put up against the wall. And how can you ask me to... I've always tried to argue for the people I don't agree with. I always do, because I'm an old-fashioned, liberally centrist chap. I'm always defending people I don't like. I don't like J.K. Rowling. I'm a little bit of a misogynist. I'm always sticking up for women, because the modern left have gone completely tonto, and they're always picking on birds. So it's the left of the likes of me to stand up for J.K. Rowling and Julie Burchill and all these people. It's like, but why is it down to me? The old-fashioned... never serious, slightly misogynistic, old-fashioned 1979 geezer. It's always left to me because the fucking world's gone crazy. But I digress. This is what's going on. Why should I forgive these people? Why should I? I do feel like Southport, hopefully, was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because, no, well, me either. Me either, but I'm defending her all the time, Julie Bindle. Because she's got a right to her opinion, even if she doesn't like cock. It's fine, you don't have to like cock. Especially mine. I've always got in trouble with women, because my mouth writes checks, my cock can't cash. Okay, I've disappointed dozens of women over the years. It's fine. It's fine. We don't all have to agree. This is the point. So it's always left to me to stick up for people I don't like. But the one group I'm not going to stick up for, when retribution comes, is the people that facilitated the death of children. I can forgive minor things, but they killed kids. Keir Starmer, sorry, hang on, I missed my clip. Keir Starmer...
Gay!
Keir Starmer, right? I don't forgive him, and I never will. Because they knew what was going to happen. Anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together knew what was going to happen. It's unbelievable. I'm getting raged again, so I have to change the subject, but I was going to go mental again. It's unbelievable. I cannot believe people haven't literally marched into the House of Parliament and the House of Lords and dragged these people out by the scruff of the neck. It is unbelievable. Baby killers. That's what they are. Because they knew this. You don't have to be a genius. I'll just put it in very simple terms. If you moved 20,000 16 to 30-year-old men from an English town, if you moved 20,000 16 to 30-year-old men from Well, I was going to say London, but it's not an English town. I'll tell you what, I'll have to pick a Scottish one. At least the northern ones are still quite ethnically homogenous, or they used to be. If you were to move 50,000 16 to 30-year-old lads from Glasgow to Sunderland, crime would spike in Sunderland. Young men are the worst, but we have to deal with our own young men. That's an incontrovertible fact. Pick the nicest town in England, Harrogate. Poor, everybody loves Harrogate. I love going to Betty's tea room and reading The Guardian with all the wankers. Yeah, if you move 20,000 16 to 30-year-old lads from Harrogate and ditch them in my hometown here in the States, crime would go up very, very drastically. Because young men are the worst. The worst. High testosterone, big floppy cocks, loads of aggression, loads of that manly show off in front of your mates. Woy, roily, tinfoily. You know what it's like. And our government, on purpose, moved millions of hairy-arsed, angry young men from illiterate third world shitholes where they all aspire to emulate the achievements of the pot-bellied warlord, epileptic, goat-shagging plagiarist, and they moved them all to Western Europe, millions and millions and millions of them, and then when they murder people, they go, oops, well, who could have seen that? I could have seen it coming. Stevie Wonder with a bin liner stapled to his head could have seen it coming. You horrible, slimy, lying, thieving, dirty, evil, globalist, psychopathic scum. Anyone could have seen it coming. It makes me want to retch. So I'll never, ever, ever, ever forgive them. I'm always defending everyone. But one day, I just pray that I live to see it. One day change will come. And if it devolves into the total collapse that it's looking like, because I can't see reform doing what needs to be done, if it devolves into the total collapse that it's looking like, there'll at least be one silver lining, right? Because if the ballot box doesn't get us there, we do it the old-fashioned way, like it always happens. Because human beings are stupid and they don't do prevention, they only do cures, right? So there's a sliver, there's a ghost of a chance. We're on the razor's edge. Maybe reform or a right-wing alternative, it's reform or bust, will get in 2029 and just engage in massive, vast, sweeping reforms and somehow make things change, but it's very, very unlikely. So at least a silver lining when there's blood in the streets and there's hundreds of thousands dead and there's Europe-wide disorder that makes the Troubles in Northern Ireland look like a cakewalk. At least after all that happens, the people that caused it will get retribution. And when you've got a full-blown civil war on your hands, it isn't going to be Keir Starmer gets, 6 months suspended sentence and spends his time in the home counties. It's going to be up against the wall while I laugh, while I point and go, ha ha. And I've been very careful to avoid any hateful speech there. I've never wanted to see it. But you ignore people like me, don't you? You think, the globalist sociopaths think, if they've got like the mainstream media and the chattering classes and the talking heads and the radio stations and the TV networks, they think it doesn't matter how many of your children get buried, doesn't matter about them hiding the grooming gangs, doesn't matter about them letting 100,000 people diddle your kids, doesn't matter about any of it, because we'll just keep brainwashing you and everybody will fall for it. Well, they won't. Something snapped. It quivered when Emily Jones got her head cut off by an elbow, but something snapped when that little Rudu Kanubu oxygen thief stole 3 children's lives away from them. Something changed then. And I've seen it with my own eyes. Like every single pub I went in when I went home 3 months ago, every single pub I went in was just full of people just champing at the bit to exact righteous retribution on the scum that have done this to us. All across Europe, it'll be the same. If you go into a pub in France or Germany or the Netherlands or England, anywhere, you're going to meet massive amounts. See, everyone gobs off at me about this. Google it. It's champing. Because I Googled it. I heard people say chomping. I heard people say champing. I Googled it. It's champing. So shut up. All right. There's going to be hell on. There's going to be hell on. And at least that'll happen. At least, yeah, we might have to bury some of our friends and family members because civil wars are never going to be easy. But at least I'll have a fatty on watching the likes of Starmer get his just desserts. It always happens. This is why it makes me laugh. People are just pig ignorant. They don't want to read. It always happens. The right calls the left. It always kicks off. And then they fight in the streets. It happened in the Weimar Republic. It's happened dozens of times throughout history. And all that's changed this time is the useful idiots have teamed up with all the regulars at Alan's snack bar, which is why they jam square pegs through round holes. And you've got full-blown militant practitioners of Alan's, right? You've got full-blown militant practitioners of the Bronze Age desert fable teaming up with trans activists. That's it. Because this is what they think they can do. They think if they join them all under the intersectional umbrella, even though they all hate each other, they'll have enough to overcome the masses. But they won't. They'll lose. Like I said to you, they underestimate the steel of the angry Englishmen. They underestimate the steel of them. I've seen my 60-odd-year-old father, well, he's in his 70s now, headbutt men half his age, right? They underestimate the steel of the Englishman and the pissed-off Scotsman and the chippy Welshman and the very slow to anger bog-brained Murph, of which, for some reason, 40% of them are communists. They underestimate what's going to happen because they're hoping this is the grand plan, especially all these independent councillors who also just happen to align 100% behind the aims of the likes of ISIS. Oh, but they're dead independent. And they're all Greens and Lib Dems. Like, I mean, it's laughable that anyone can't see this coming. But they think that what's going to happen is they're going to team up with the intersectional lot, and Owen Jones and Julie Bindel and the LGBTQ plus IA and J.K. Rowling, they're all going to be under the umbrella, and it'll be them versus the white working class men. And they'll win. This is the plan. And then when they win, then they mop up the LGBTQIA++, Lib Dems, Greens, Owen Jones, BBC journalists, and then voila, ta-da, caliphate. That's the plan. So if anyone is under any illusions as to what's happening, that's the plan. That's why militant, full-blown beardy weirdies are making common cause with the LGBTQ plus IA community, because that's what they think's going to happen. But I'll tell you what's going to happen is they'll kick off as best they can, and then they'll get their asses handed to them when they cross the line. Again, they all are. Same in Derby, VK. Well, he's not, allegedly he's not, but he's a foreign man who I don't want running a major English city. They all are now, but it doesn't matter, because when they feel like they've got the bit between the teeth, they've got a long way to go yet. They need to be at about 30%, I think, to get all these councils over the line. When every mayor in the UK is, and they've got more than half the country under the sway, then they'll make the play, and then they'll go mandatory prayer rugs in the primary schools, shutter all the pubs, bulldoze all the churches, turn York Minster into a giant golden bell-end church. But they won't win. They won't win. Because they'll still be in a minority. They might be able to rise to power to snatch, like, political power with about 20% of the population, but they won't be able to take the country with 20% of the population, especially not when they're all born off a diet of raised... First of all, many of them are the results of rattling your cousin. So a lot of them have got scrawny, sparrow bones and birth defects and webbed feet, and, like a sort of hands growing out the shoulders and shit. Have you ever had a fight with a gang of these people? Told you my mate John Witt had a fight with about 30 on Linthorpe Road in Middlesbrough. It was basically even Stevens. He was just sort of throwing them around willy-nilly, Like anyone who's ever had a scrap with them knows. They're done when it kicks off. It's like, to use the term I talked about yesterday, I would just ball up my scrotum and wield it like a big pink fleshy mace. And I reckon I could take at least 50 or 60 if I had to. So they've got no chance. So that's what's going to happen. That's the plan. Might take 20 years, but that's what's going to happen. And when it kicks off, they'll lose. So that's what's going to happen. So what's the big deal? You just do what I do and laugh your tits off at the stupidity and the lunacy and get on with things. It's not like, there's no point in worrying about it. There's no point. Don't become a professional protester. Just laugh and wait for it to kick off. And then we'll see what happens. Then they'll get the good news. And finally, Starmer will get the good news as well. All right? Easy. Rant over. Christ, that was a bit of a tirade. But it makes me angry. Every time I see pictures like that, it makes me angry. My fury will not be stored, will not be stayed by weasel words from the scum that rule over us with an iron fist like Keir Starmer.
Gay!
Yeah, love that. Can't get... I'm going to have to get some more clips. I love that. I've only just started playing with that you can upload your own media and press a button to make it come up. I'm going to have to upload a few more of them. I'll never get tired of playing with that. Anyway, so let's talk about this one. Crazy time to be alive. J.K. Rowling. This is the aforementioned me defending people I don't even like, right? As I keep saying, why have I got to defend? Why have me, a 1979 working class bloke, slightly misogynistic, slaps his missus' ass and goes, put the kettle on, sugar tits. Why is it left to me to defend these people? But I will, because it's always left to people like me. Like I said, I'm like a boxer, poor old boxer doing his hardest all the time. So J.K. Rowling, absolute knobhead, gave money to the Labour Party for decades. Fucking idiot, right? Look at this tweet here. Won't work, sweetie. We foresaw that tactic. Among other measures we have in place, dupes are automatically deleted. But look who she's responding to. Again, remember, this is the kind, compassionate, tolerant feminist talking, right? I wrote a quote answer about this. If you're a bird and you go out with a bloke who wears a pussy hat and wears a t-shirt, like, this is what a feminist look like, right? He's probably got 3 girls chained to the radiator in his cellar. He's going to have Rohypnol in your drink, and then he's going to be in you, right? He'll have pills in your drink, and then he'll be in you whether you like it or not. You're going to wake up on his couch, and you're going to be getting forcibly deep-throated because the people that feel the need to virtue signal aggressively on social media are doing it like a trapdoor spider. It's camouflage. Whereas blokes like me, if you're a bird and you want to have a happy relationship, go out with a plumber, go out with a bricklayer who occasionally says slightly misogynistic things, because he's got a good heart. He's not worried about presenting a fake facade on the a veneer of respectability, because this is the time we're living in. I'm 45. I've had dozens of ex-girlfriends. I don't think any of them will say a bad thing about me. Yeah, I'm a little bit off colour sometimes, not very tactful, but never filled any of them in. Never done anything worse than about slap their ass or something. like normal blokes are the ones who get called hateful. And the ones who advertise themselves as feminists, pink pussy hat, this is what a feminist look like. This is the shit they do, right? Look at the tweet that she was responding to here. Powers of advocacy, Gemma trans rights. For what it's worth. Look, and the nice emoji, with the blushing girl and the nice flag in the background. For what it's worth. J.K. Rowling is paying a group called TC Trustees Limited to manage the site and everything to do with it. You can absolutely F over her bottom line by sending them thousands upon thousands upon thousands of requests. Spam is great. Things they have to take time to respond to is better. 74 likes, 20 retweets. Yeah. And these are the nice, tolerant, feminist types, right? J.K. Rowling's charity is purely to help advocate for women. And these lunatics are going to massively screw over the people that are running the charity by using their own time to spam the inbox with thousands and thousands and thousands of requests. So you're going to get like helpless women who are starving or are getting beaten up by abusive partners or getting diddled by an abusive uncle or something. And they're not going to get the help that they could get because degenerate vermin that look down on me for telling sexist jokes, okay, are purposely ruining the charity's endeavours because they think J.K. Rowling's a bad person, even though J.K. Rowling gave money to the Labour Party for 25 years. So this is the world we're living in. As I've said, you couldn't make it up. It's a women's advocacy charity. That's what it's there for. And these people are just like, yeah, let's that'll show her the billionaire who's just paying. All she's doing is bankrolling it. She's got like loads of money. She's not going to be. It's like she's in there, you know, licking stamps every day. She's just paying a company to help administer the charity foundation she's set up to give money to worthy causes, and the tolerant, feminist, LGBTQ plus IA, loving, compassionate, caring people are purposely ruining it all because they think in some deranged fashion that this is going to upset J.K. Rowling in some way. I mean, you couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up. So that's where we are. Is there anything worse? Just total scum. So ladies, if you want some advice, if you don't want to get fingered against your will, right? If you don't want to get Bill Cosby'd, just go out with a bricklayer. If you walk past a building site and someone shouts, "Toot," go, all right, smooth talking bastard. Do you want to go for a drink? That's my advice. Because if you see someone in a pink hat with a feminist t-shirt on, probably a sex offender. That's just the way it is. Yeah, should we do something a bit more light-hearted? Because this shit just makes me want to throw my computer out the window. I'll tell you what was a good one. This comical video I found on Twitter. Look at this, look. So here's a bird who's just doing, you know, young lasses, they all film themselves in the gym these days, but look at this here. Look at the clip of her. You know, to be fair, right? Look at her just handing it over like it's a purse. Like, like it weighs nothing. To be fair to her, she's used to carrying a packed lunch. So, to that absolute Hoover beast there, that 20 clem hippo, that kettlebell weighs nothing. It's just like, it's like she's just handing her a toffee crisp. And yeah, she creamed in. So I thought that was funny. Yeah. There it is. There you go, love. Aye, look at the clip of her. He'd like a recycling bin. Absolute cowhead there. Cowhead handing over a toffee crisp that weighs 40 pounds. Anyway, that's good, isn't it? What else have we got? Oh yeah, that one. That proper rads me. Police are making every... Look at this. I hate it. Oh, God, I hate it. I think I hate it so much because it reminds me of like the broad brush punishments they used to do in the military. You know me, I'm argumentative. I remember arguing with me OC, who was a major. Mike Tanning, he was called. He's a massive giant of a man. Crazy story he reminded me of. I was in an English pub in New Orleans called The Ship, and I had a 4-2 Commando t-shirt on. It's kind of not kosher to wear them when you're in, but when you're retired like me, you know, you love that shit. And I was in this boozer in New Orleans wearing my 4-2 Commando t-shirt. It was quiet as well. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I'm old now and I don't go out clubbing I go out at about noon, get pissed, and I'm in bed for about 9:30. And this fella came up to me and my wife. It wasn't that long ago, about 4 years, I think. Came up to me and my wife, and he went, "Are you Royal Marines?" And I said, "I am. Yeah, how did you know?" Because the T-shirt was just a dagger with a 4 and a 2, and it didn't say RM or Royal Marines or anything. And I said, "How did you know?" And he said, 4-2 Commando. He said, "A Royal Marine saved my life." He said, "I'll get you a drink." And he bought me and my missus a pint, and we started chatting to him. He was called Lee something. My wife remembers everybody's names. And he was like a 2-star general. And he said, "Royal Marine saved my life in Afghanistan." And he said, "Cheers to you." And I said, "Who was it? Do you remember?" And he said, what was his name? It's on the tip of my tongue now. He said he was a giant of a man with massive hands. And I went, "Mike Tanner." And he went, "That was him." That's a true story. It's a small world, isn't it? He went, "Yeah, that was him." As soon as I told him his name. But anyway, I remember arguing with Mike, and I was saying to him, I was like, when I put my chit in to leave, like one of the main reasons is obviously the fact that I felt like the government was siding with the enemy at this point. But he said to me, what's one of the things that, other than that, when we're talking about smaller things that we can have an effect on, what annoys you? And I said, the broad brush punishments annoy me. So when we went to Sierra Leone, shithole, did our job, trained up a load of the jinglies. Yeah, fucking useless. Couldn't hit a cow's ass with a shovel. Trained them up, came back, and then when we're on the ship, we docked in Lisbon on the way home. We all went out on the piss, 150 bootnecks, got leathered. Someone caused a mass brawl. I wasn't even there, in the nightclub in Porto. It spilled out into the streets, and I reckon there was about 30 bootnecks versus about 200 bouncers. They reckon there was so much chew in the town centre. Police van turned up, emptied. Loads of coppers in riot gear jumped out the back, took a look at either side, and then jumped back in the van and drove off. That's what I got told by one of my mates, Richie, who was there. And when we came back the next day, I goes to leave. So I wasn't even aware this had happened. I just went out on the lash. I went around all the English pubs. Wakes up in the morning, goes to get off the ship. And they went, "Oh, you can't. Shore leave's banned." And I was like, "Why?" And went, "Oh, there was a mass brawl last night." I went, "What's that got to do with me?" You can see the argumentative ENTP personality and the logic before all thing. I was like, "What's that got to do with me?" He was like, "It's the rules. Shore leave's being banned." I said, Who's the watch boss?" And it was like some Captain Nobbet. And I went, "What? Why can't I go out? What's it got to do with me? If I was 10 miles away from it, why aren't I allowed to go on the piss for the next 2 days?" And that's what they used to do. Broad brush punishment in the military. And I told him, I said, "Listen, you guys are living in the dark ages, right?" I remember there was a bloke in Afghanistan who wasn't pulling his weight when we were in Kabul. So all the lads filled him in. And then the lads who filled him in got massively bollocked by the sergeant major. And they all got I think they got moved camps because it was like a jolly to be in Kabul for a bit. I think they all got ditched and sent back to Helmand. It was unbelievable. They just sort of ditched them all, punished them for it. And I told the boss this, Mike. I said to him, "You're living in the dark ages. This whole thing about collective punishments used to work because in 1980, if you did a collective punishment because of the fuck-ups of one lad, we'd all get round the one lad. His performance had massively improved and the problem would fix itself. But now you're doing broad brush punishments, and if we do anything about it, we get in the shit." I said, if I went and found the bloke who caused the chew last night and punched his face in and booted him all over the mess deck, you'd get me arrested by the military police, and I'd do 6 months in Colchester for GBH. So why am I getting bollocked for what a couple of wankers did? No good answer. You can see why I didn't do a career. Because they don't want to argue. But what's the answer? You can't do it. You can't do collective punishment in 2025. So I was like, what you do is you smash the people who do the things wrong and you leave everybody else alone. Throw the book at them, lock them up. But you can't do collective punishment when, if we respond to the collective punishment in the way that you expect us to, which is to go and fucking sort the problem out ourselves, we'll all get locked up. So this annoyed the shit out of me because it brought back memories of that collective punishment when I got denied 2 days surely because of some other wanker filling some doorman in. Oh, hang on, I realised I just got my own sound was off there. It says the police are making everyone leaving Clapham Junction go through a metal detector as part of a knife crime initiative. They're stopping and searching people who don't go through. Can they just do this? Well, yeah, because you live in an authoritarian shithole, so of course they can. So there you go. Look, and you know what makes me laugh? Well, I'll show you what I said about it. I said, young black lads stab each other, so the authoritarian scum that rule with an iron fist F everyone in London about. Jesus Christ, if I lived anywhere near a big British city, I'd up sticks and move. I don't give a shite. I wouldn't put up with it. I hate it. If I was there, I'd make the copper's life a pain up the arse. If I was with 20 lads and we're on the piss, I'd be like, right, we're not doing it. Make them search every single one of us. I'd be like, oh yeah, I've got a knife in my trainer. Go on. I'll get my stinky feet off it. I'll take my socks off as well. Go on, have a look at that. I hate it. I hate it. Smash the young black lads that are stabbing each other and leave the grannies alone, because here's the funny part. Look at the footage. How many of these people do you think would be realistically at risk of carrying a knife or a machete? Because look at the footage. What is it? 10 seconds. Look at this. So, young lass, tourist, middle-aged bloke, young lass, old bloke, tourist, young lass, student. So, I mean, look there, 3 women. What's the point? What's the point? It's worthless. This looks good, so we'll waste 2 midgets, coppers, and we'll fuck everybody around and we'll waste the time. It'll be a massive pain up the arse for everyone in London to achieve nothing. Nothing. Theatre. That's what that is. Totally pointless. Little fat pot-bellied dwarf. Look at that little dwarf there. There. Brown, obviously. It's the Met. She must be like, what, 4'8"? Because every split arse in the queue's taller than her. So they've got a 4'8" dwarf wasting money. She's getting a paycheck. This one's getting a paycheck. There's 2 of them, look. 2 little fat birds. Paycheck, expensive equipment in order to scan a big gang of young women. Yeah, loads of point in that. Ludicrous. So all the black lads are out knifing each other and we're busy performative theatre, doing nothing useful. Nothing useful. Get them out on the streets, pounding the turf, beat bobbies, 6'2", paratroopers, bootnecks, special forces, whatever. And every time you see a little scruffy, chavvy 15-year-old, you know him, you can spot him a mile away, stop and search. That's how you fix these problems. I've got some super chats here. There you go, sugar tits, lol. Cheers for that. Never been called sugar tits before. Wigan won again, so happy days. Keep smiling, boots. Cheers, Stu, I am. I always do, you know me. But that's ridiculous, isn't it? So, political theatre, totally pointless. Brilliant. God bless the UK. This is the... This is what we're dealing with. Absolute shambles. Absolute embarrassment of a country. And I'll do one more before I bugger off. Has anyone got any requests? Any big news stories pissed you off this week? Oh, Sunderland are back in the Premier. Well, that's good. My dad doesn't like the Mackhams, but I told you the only thing I care about is the North-South divide. I'll happily see the Mackhams or the Geordies up there. Oh yeah, Rags has shared the Bootneck store. I totally forgot about that. Well done, Rags. Someone's got to do it. I forget. I didn't set this site up to make money. It's just a bit of fuel to keep me going. But yeah, if you want to go and buy yourself a wonderful Alan Snack Bar t-shirt, do that. I would love to see a few hundred of these floating around. I want to find. What I want to know is who's the first person that gets arrested for wearing a t-shirt. Because I'd piss myself laughing. There you go. You can get one in blood red. Good. That's a good idea, isn't it? Get yourself one in blood red, and then when you get blew up on the trains or the buses, you won't, the stains won't show as easily. Be like being a red coat except cooler. So yeah, there's that. Enjoy. Talking of stories, America trying to save Lucy Connolly. Oh, I didn't hear about that. Have they got involved? Let's have a look. I'm getting angry again reading about it. Yeah, apparently it's been raised with the White House. Didn't know that. Free speech martyr loses appeal to be free from jail for incitement. You know what? I'll show you again, just for a laugh. This despicable post by the BBC, just outright lies. Look at that. Just outright lies, that race hate post. At no point did she bring up the race of anyone. She didn't. It wasn't a race hate post, and they purposely didn't screenshot the appeal because it said she urged her followers to set fire to horses. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. She said set fire to them for all I care. That's not the same. Ricky Jones urged people to cut throats. She didn't urge anyone. She just said, for all I care. That's not urging, is it? If I say you can burgle me neighbours for all I care, I'm just inferring I don't like me neighbours. I'm not telling you, you know what would be a really, really, really good idea if you went and burgled my neighbours. There's a big difference. So that's total lies, which is why the lying, dirty, thieving, corrupt, druggy, noncy diddlers at the BBC didn't show the tweet that everybody's seen. They just lied. So the headline was a lie. The first two paragraphs were a lie. She didn't urge her followers to do it. And she didn't do anything wrong. And she shouldn't be in prison. And in a free country like America, which again will piss off the chippy ones who think I'm just being a knobhead wanker expat, she wouldn't have even been arrested in the United States. Because we live in a relatively free country. Nowhere's really free. We all get the balls taxed off us out here. That pisses me off. Every paycheck I get annoyed. I was like, what was the point in the American Revolution if you're just going to tax the balls off me anyway? But anyway, she didn't do anything. And if she was in America, she wouldn't have even got arrested. So don't tell me she broke the law. The American law is based off our law. It's all common law from England. If it's not a crime in America, it shouldn't be a crime in England. But in England, you've had the creeping, slimy, thieving, lying, corrupt iron boot of the state on your windpipe for the last 10 years. And Peter Lynch did get a death sentence. And Ricky Jones will definitely get a suspended sentence. Of course he will. So it's absolute degeneracy. Oh, I forgot about that one. Let's find that one. 92-year-old arrested and tasered. Here, look at this. Use of a taser on a disabled 92-year-old was viable. Of course it was. Of course it was. Yeah. Yeah, and it'd be totally viable for a 28-year-old cop with a taser, a 92-year-old man in a wheelchair. A police officer who tasered a 92-year-old. Oh my God, he was an amputee as well. Brilliant. I thought surely 92-year-old's enough, but no, 92-year-old amputee. Acted within her training. Oh, of course it'd be a bird. Of course it was. PC's Rachel Comoto and Stephen Smith are accused of using excessive force on Donald Burgess. Jurors heard how Mr. Burgess, who had one leg and used a wheelchair, was sprayed in the face, struck with a baton, and tasered within 83 seconds. Who trains these people? We used to do more escalation of force when I was in Northern Ireland, and we were dealing with aggressive, chewy 20-year-olds, we wouldn't escalate it that quick. 83 seconds. Like they literally just drove in here. Was there any dialogue? Just burst in, give him 40,000 volts in his plums. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. Mr. Burgess died in hospital. Of course he did. Because the police murdered him. Police murdered him. Ian Mills, use of force expert. Christ on a bike. So I'm telling you, right, we've adopted all of the worst things for America, which is digging up an expert to tell you any bollocks in court. That's their favourite one, isn't it? Johnny Cochran. If the glove won't fit, you must acquit. Bullshit. Right? We've copied the Americans. Remember when that kid ran a lot of people over out here? Affluenza. And got an expert to come in. An expert and go, oh, it's not his fault he killed a lot of people because, his parents didn't discipline him. Yep, case dismissed. Cheers easy. We've got all the worst aspects of America and none of the good shit. Like guns and freedom of speech. That's why England's so bad now, isn't it? We got all the worst shit from America. The money-hungry lawyers, the ambulance-chasing lawyers, the endless appeals, the legal machinations, the petitions and the protests. Remember, he's a protester. And the fucking... just all the shit. And we didn't get monster trucks, firearms, cheap barbecue, even cheaper petrol, and actual freedom of speech. Brilliant. So that's why England's a shithole. Because you got none of the good stuff and all of the worst shit. So that's unbelievable. Use of force expert fictional. There's no such thing. Told the court using the taser had failed. Was a viable action. Using the taser after other options had failed. Other options had failed. 92-year-old bloke. You run over, you grab him by the arms. Done. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? 92-year-old, one leg in a wheelchair. Push his wheelchair into a broom cupboard and close it. Ta-da! If I was there, I'd have fixed this problem in 10 seconds. He'd have been like, why you? I oughta. And I'd have went, do-do-do. Move the vacuum cleaner and the mop. Push the old cripple into the broom cupboard. Lock the door. You're not getting your tea until you shut up and stop swinging. Easy. Piece of piss. There you go. PC Bootneck to the rescue. No tasers required. Lock him in a cupboard. Job's done. Jesus Christ on a bike. Use of force expert. Ian Mills, right? I'll tell you what. If you think you're a use of force expert, let's have it out. Next trip home, me and you'll meet in a pub car park and you teach me why you should be an expert on the use of force. Because it seems like if I can get you in a copper lock and the next thing, your arms behind the back of your head and you're tickling your own crown because I've just folded you up like a deck chair. You shouldn't be going to court giving people any expert on the use of force. And well, you shouldn't be doing it anyway because you're obviously a plank and you tell lies. Use of force expert. Viable action. 92-year-old in a wheel. Lock him in a stationary cupboard. Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's bollocks, innit? It's bollocks. You know it's all bollocks. Your country's run by morons. It's corrupt. You're in the iron grip of authoritarianism. The bloody iron-fisted, scum-sucking, lying, ratbag Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Gay!
Does whatever he wants all the time. Your country's a shithole. They've done it on purpose. Get used to it. Get used to it. It's all you can do is laugh. All right? You've had an hour. You can have that for now. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for turning up. Thanks for buying the merch. I think I've shifted about 50 t-shirts. So I'll live for the day I'm walking through London and I see someone in an Alan Snack Bar shirt. That'll make my night. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support all week. Keep smiling. It is funny up until everything goes and completely collapses, and then something will get done. But until then, keep your chin up. Keep laughing at the lunacy. And don't be a boring bastard and go on a protest. Just go to the pub and watch the world unfold out the window. All right? Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Where are the shirts? I sent you a link, didn't I? Hang on. I'll send you a link. angry-bootneck.dashery.com. There you are. There. angry-bootneck.dashery.com. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll see you next week. Have a good weekend. Have a drink. Have a smoke. Don't do as you're told. See you later. Take it easy.